Hello, and welcome to Now What, a podcast dedicated to helping you find your peace, love, harmony, and all sorts of other good things. I'm speaking with Reverend Gail, who is the minister at Unity of Bay City, and today we're talking about, well, what are we talking about today, Gail?
Loving kindness.
Oh, love and
Loving
kindness. Nice.
kindness.
Could use a little more love and kindness in my life. I think everyone
Absolutely.
could.
And sometimes for some people it might feel like, oh yeah, to hearts and flowers, and it's very actually one of the most powerful things that we can do for ourselves and find within ourselves, and that's where it has to start. It's a Buddhist meditation or prayer. It's been around a long time because Buddha was around on the earth about 500 years before Jesus was. And this tradition really started even before the Buddha. It's called the Metta meditation, METTA. And and a lot of times you might notice in Buddhist prayers or meditations that they say, may I. May I be filled with loving kindness. May you be filled with loving kindness. May we be filled with loving kindness. Well, we take the language that we use with prayer and things like, and that's what the Fillmores, our co-founders, Unity's co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, recognized that the I am is such a powerful statement, and it gets us clear, and this universal intelligence that we're speaking from and as and to is powerful. So instead of may I, like, mother, may I,
Right.
asking permission, um, like as in the more traditional prayers says, dear God, please may I, those kinds of like beseeching or
Right.
asking instead of claiming it. So I've shifted this loving kindness prayer or meditation to I am. I am filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful and at ease, and I am happy. And sometimes I put, instead of happy, I put healthy. You
Very good.
can play with it.
Let's repeat that again, just so I can close my eyes and sit in
Yeah.
that and think about when I say I am, I'm making a declaration directly to myself and to the universe. It's like, okay, here's who I am. This is who I
Yes.
am, not who I'm not. This is who I am. So okay, let's try that
Yeah.
again.
So I invite listeners to just take a breath.
Hmm.
And if you're in a safe space, like not in a car, just take that breath and just be here. I am filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful and at ease. And I am happy. I
Very
am
good.
filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful and at ease. And I am healthy. And you just breathe and allow yourself to feel that.
That's awesome. I noticed as we're getting going here, I've been really fidgety. I've been worried about the microphone and worried about the camera and making sure I have water, and I wasn't really present in our conversation. But as soon as we did that, that's almost that we call those mantras, right?
You can call it a mantra or prayer or whatever feels good.
Mantra prayer. Okay. Well, as soon as we did that, and I was able to just like focus and ground in on what you were saying, it definitely shifted. Can we do that one more time?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely. Take a breath and be mindful of the breath. The breath rejuvenates us. It brings new life into our every cell of our body with every breath. So we're mindful and allow the body to breathe us as we feel this affirmation, this mantra. I am filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful and at ease, and I am happy. I am filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful and at ease, and I am happy. And so one of the questions I ask as we move into these kinds of things to open our hearts and our minds and our breath is, how often are you aware that you are filled with loving kindness? Even if you're feeling grumpy or you're feeling sick or you're feeling, you're in traffic and you get fuzzed up, that base of you, are you aware of the loving kindness? And then I could put it another way, like, do you feel filled with loving kindness during your day?
It's challenging because there's so many distractions, and it seems like the world, or at least right now, America is a very angry place. And so we get all these distractions that are like constantly bombarding these different ideas like, oh, we're not good enough, or oh, we're not good looking enough, or oh, we're overweight, or oh, we're in this financial ruin, or with all this world stuff going on, and our attention is so out, and we almost feel like we're in this defensive stance all the time. And when you were saying that, and I was repeating it in my head, it was like just brought it right back to what's going on inside me. Because yeah, it's like, as far as Scott Love is concerned, I am the base of operations for my life, and like you are for your life, and the listener is for their lives. So if we take a second and just be like, I am love and kindness, this is who I am. All the other stuff kind of seems to not be so impactful.
That's where the world really is for us, is within us, is the thoughts we have, especially the thoughts that are grounded in some kind of belief, that we believe this to be true. What if you believe it to be true that you are loving kindness more than you're aggravated right now, you're not feeling well right now, your body is going kind of haywire, and those kind of things happen. But yet, if the core of you is loving kindness to yourself, all those other things can be worked out.
Kind of brings balance just saying that.
Does, doesn't
Yeah.
it? These are ancient teachings, these simple things, and they're ancient because they're truth with a capital T. If it's something that shows up through the ages before language, and with all the different languages in the Hindu and the Jain texts, these things exist. And there's always beyond before that, before written things, before things were written, before things were broadcast on a podcast.
Right.
All of this stuff. And one of the best explanations that I have found that has given me great peace as far as living this crazy human life is that there isn't a deity in the sky judging us. It is, we were created by a source energy, a universal intelligence, by whatever name, and we were given the powers to be creators. So creation created us to be creators and gave us free will and free choice on how we use these powers. And golly, humans are really bad at it a lot of times, because it's this, because we have power, we think, you know, we reign supreme. Yeah, and the male and female, the masculine, because of the hunter gatherer, and the divine feminine has been downplayed and eroded. But we can see now it's starting to come a little bit back into balance, um, and it will continue to as we continue to uh, grow in our practices and in it, and just being who we are at the root of loving kindness, at the root of being a creator. I'm a creator. I was given those powers to do that.
Fantastic. Um, when you're talking, it brought me this idea that when we go about our lives, it's like our core values, and this is what I love about unity. And for those of you who are listening who aren't familiar with unity, we covered some of the history of unity in a previous podcast when we spoke about your history with unity and your development as a spiritual advisor and teacher. Um, but it's like it's the non-judgment part of it, and it's not it's like it's the openness of it, the fact that anybody from any faith, providing they're comfortable being around other faiths or other belief systems and other people from different cultures, um it's like what is it melts away or at least disregards temporarily all the external differences and brings us into focus on what is our core beliefs. What is with the I am peace, I am love, I'm hope. I'm here to be, like you mentioned, be a creator. And so as a individual listening, what are some things that they can do to create a practice? Is this something, this mantra, is something they should say every day, several times a day? How do you approach that? How would you suggest someone um, br- bring it in on a daily basis so that
And
they're
that's a big key to what we call spiritual practices. And we don't even most unities unity centers, and we're worldwide, and been around 150 years. And we kind of morphed into this church experience, but mostly unity churches refer to themselves as we do at Unity Bay City, as a spiritual community, as a center. Because if you use the word church, sometimes people are like, oh, that means religion,
right.
right? So, but to bring it to your own individual practice, some people think it has to be real hard and real time consuming and like you have to know these magical words. I think that I know from my experience and from watching others grow through life, through their spiritual journey, the I am is such a huge key, like I said a minute ago. And so if you watch what you attach when you say I am, I'm so stupid, or I am the, whatever, and you catch that, that's part of your spiritual practice. Paying attention to your thoughts that are backed by feeling, especially if you've had, people who've had a rough childhood, which really most humans have, because childhood is so, no matter how well intentioned or not parents can be, we have to grow up our whole life. And so I am is the place to start. Paying attention to what you say and feel after you say the words I am. And then find a practice, find a mantra. And what this one I love is this metta meditation, as it's called in Buddhism, is brings equanimity. And that was my word of the week. Because that
Equanimity.
means equanimity. It means a calm mind. It means composure, equanimity. So I am filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful and at ease. And I am happy. Especially that last sentence, you can say, I am healthy. I am loved. I am whatever. To round that out, I'm filled with loving kindness. I am well. I am peaceful. And I'll tell you I use this when I have trouble sleeping because I've got one of those minds that just goes. And
Me
so
too. Me
to
too.
settle in, to settle down, to find my equanimity of my mind, I say this meditation, and it really helps me sleep. It helps me rest. Even if I can't fall asleep, I'll rest. Rest, be restful. As I just continually in my mind, sometimes out loud, just say it over and over again. So we each can find our own spot that feels like it brings us to that place. But these well-worn ones, like this one that's thousands of years old, is a good place to start. And you can tailor it. But watch that I am. What are you saying? What are you affirming for yourself?
The power of I am.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Very good. Awesome.
Yeah, with the overwhelm, people, I'll do that tomorrow. Another really really powerful practice is look at yourself in the mirror and say, look at yourself in the mirror and soften your gaze and just love that person that you are right where you're at. Not like uh, uh, maybe after I lose weight or after I get this college course or after I blah de blah, um, then I'll love you better. You know, you'll be more worthy of my love, but you're worthy right now,
Right now.
right now.
Very good. That was what we covered in last week's service.
That was the beginning of it,
Okay.
and I I referred to and have several excerpts from the book that is really powerful for me right now is Understanding Your Soul, the channeled wisdom of Jesus. Many people are familiar with the Course in Miracles, and that was a book that was channeled, Jesus channeled by a woman, and it stands as a gold standard for, instead of the Bible teachings with so many dogmas and mis communications, misunderstandings that goes along with all of the kind of the package of the Bible.
Hmm.
That Course in Miracles kind of took all of that dogma, all of those other superstition things away. And so it's been very popular for all these years. Well, this is the newest that I know of, and Unity Books published this one, and it's pretty powerful. It's an easy read, and there's going to be more. It says in the book. I grew up in a traditional Christian church, but I never really, it wasn't like a hellfire and damnation kind of church. It was just Bible teachings and, a nice pastor. And, um, but the whole Jesus thing scared me a little bit because he was supposed to be God's only begotten son. And look what happened to him. So that scared me. So, but I always really, really thought of Jesus as my friend, not a savior, but as my friend. And I'm really grateful for that. I came to that understanding when I was, after I was baptized and scared to death of being baptized.
Yeah.
I came to know, so I'm grateful that I moved into adulthood with not a lot of dogma hanging over me. And then when I got into religious science and unity, um, I was more able to understand the metaphysical, the beyond the physical stories and what they meant. And so this channeled wisdom of Jesus isn't like new material, but it's beautifully said because it's the channeled wisdom and words of Jesus, which gave me a lot. But the just the get dedication of this book, and I kind of adopted this because I do an opening every Sunday morning about welcome to unity. No matter where you are on your spiritual journey or on your life's journey, you're welcome here. Well, this I love the dedication of this book, and hear this. This book is dedicated to all those who are seeking to discover their spiritual path and to strive every day to bring goodness and love into our beautiful world. And so I put in there, Unity of Bay City is dedicated to all of those who are seeking to discover their spiritual path and who strive every day to bring goodness and love into our beautiful world.
It's nice.
I thought that it felt like what we do strive for at Unity, at and just on a personal level, unity or no unity, if we continue to have the conversation of turmoil, of hate, of war, of fear, that's what's going to continue to happen in this world. So as we take responsibility for it on just our own little self, take the war out of our words, take the hate out of our own bodies, that we don't like what's going on in them. That's where life changes. That's where society changes.
And that's exactly why these podcasts are important, because it's one thing for us as individuals to live that way, and
Mm-hmm.
and we can say, we can pat ourselves on the back and be like, good job, you're doing the right thing. But unfortunately, the mass amount of people don't think along those lines. And what makes these podcasts important is that we are planting these seeds in the ears and the minds of the people that are listening. Because it's one thing for us to, in our little bubble, once a week, get together and say these things and participate. But I think it's time to be proactive in sharing this message with other people. I'm just reaffirming to you and I why these podcasts are important. It's not just to give us something to do, it's because we're trying to make the world a better place. We're trying to make the world more fair, more balanced, more just, more equal for everybody. So, all right. So, what is the name of that book again?
It is Understanding Your Soul, the Channeled Wisdom of Jesus.
Oh,
Christine M. Bush. You can order it on unity.org. There's a whole section on books and all kinds of other uh, really good things, affirmations, things you can read right there or you can order.
that's very good.
There's there's a couple of quotes that I quoted on Sunday that I would like to just um, put out there for the listener to sit with. And some of this could be pretty jarring to people who have a more traditional view, but they're listening. There's no accident if somebody's listening to this podcast or going to unity.org or going to another New Thought or a Buddhist. We have a metta meditation here at Unity of Bay City every Wednesday evening at 7. The people can join. It's open. So we have all of those different things, but I just wanted to put these in this book, these excerpts out there, just to ponder. This is what you must believe. This is, try this on, see how this
Right.
feels. Each individual has their own life path, which is the only path that will lead to the energetic expansion of their soul that is needed at this time. Your individual life path holds exactly the experiences necessary for you. And then it continues with this statement. In entering a life, there is not only opportunity for you to increase your own vibrational level, there is also the opportunity to assist others in increasing theirs. You incarnate to both learn and to teach. You incarnate to increase your vibrational level, the vibrational level of others, and ultimately the vibrational level of the universal all. So you see, your life that you may think of as small or meaningless, bad or flawed in some way is of great importance. Each life has an influence on the state of all universal energy. This is also why universal energy expands and contracts. And interestingly enough, we had one of our folks here at Unity of Bay City on Sunday did a talk about the human energy field. And she's a retired nurse who has been working in mental health and psychiatric nursing. And she studied her human energy field and what an influence we have over each other that is invisible to us, but we can feel it. You know, it's that, like, when you walk into a room and you feel like, oh, what's happening in here? Or you walk into a room and go, oh, this feels good.
Right.
Or you meet a person and you're like almost taken back by their energy. And so when we become aware of it, then we use the power that we have for discernment and to the level of loving kindness that we want to feel within ourselves. Another phrase I use a lot is little and often. Little and often. So you breathe, and you breathe mindfully every once in a while during your day. And we humans, we don't like change all that much. We think we do, and some of us like it better than others. But when you think about your breath, every breath you take changes everything in your body. It changes you. And we're so grateful for that. So
Very good. Very good. Very good. Well, before we wrap this up, is there any upcoming events or things that you'd like to let people know about?
we've always got a lot of things going on here, and I would go to unityofbaycity.com. It's all on that website.
Is that unityofbaycity.com?
Unityofbaycity.com.
Okay.
And we've got lots of things on the website. And right now, in this moment, we just did a moth event, storytelling event.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
And yeah, and we're going to have another one of those every month. That's what our plan is. So you can look for that in the month of June. And other classes that are coming up that we're excited about that I don't have an exact date for to give you right now, but things like maybe this will spark some interest, is the neurographic art. What is that?
What is that?
So you'll do you want me to read a synopsis, or do you want to?
Sure, let's find out what it is.
Neurographic arts. It's a technique that was developed by Pavel, and I don't know how to really pronounce the last name. Piskarev. And it involves making lines and shapes and colors on a surface to help process our emotions, meditate, and promote mental health. Neurographic art can help individuals translate their inner turmoil visually and help create a calming practice to help process changes that you might have or be having. Doesn't it?
Neurographic.
Yeah. And it's a simple art form, and the instructor will just guide you through, but you're guiding yourself. I just took a class yesterday on it, and it was pretty powerful.
That's very
And
cool.
I'm not an artist in any way. In fact, I wouldn't even it's like, that's not about being an artist.
Right.
It's about expressing.
Is there an events calendar on the website, the Unity of Bay City website?
Uh-huh.
Awesome. Well, very good, Gail. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate your time, your talent, and your passion for sharing these messages on Unity's podcast and on your own podcast. So may you be well.
Listener, if you could just take a moment to like and subscribe to this podcast, it helps out in immense ways. We are just starting this podcast up. In fact, I think this is our 5th episode. And we are really looking forward to growing with you as we expand this consciousness to as many people as we can possibly reach. So just take a second, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're interested in helping us by a financial contribution, I believe that there is a place that people can make a donation to the Unity via the website. Is that right, Gail?
So you can donate. Yes,
Awesome.
it's we use PayPal.
Awesome. Well, very good. Thank you so much. Thank you, listener, for joining us. And until next time, bless.